Hello, welcome, and thanks for watching. As many of you know, Livonia, the first official DLC map, released last week. Livonia is a lush green forest map with a lot of cool locations and a couple of brand new assets that can't be found in Chernarus. This guide is intended to help you learn the new map and how to get to some of its coolest locations, like this medical quarantine zone. For this guide, I'm going to take you from the spawn points in Brena and travel to the southern town Nadbor. I hope you enjoy, and if you do, please subscribe and check me out on Twitch. Brena is a large town located in the northern middle section of the map. You'll know you've spawned in Brena from the large bridge and the industrial area found here. Let's take a closer look. The industrial section of Brena has a gas station, a military tent, a guard shack, and 2 new military warehouse buildings. Further northwest, we can find a single guard shack that is in this little farming area here. But the more important part of Brena is in the northeast, where you can find a police station and 2 wells, which are very important in Livonia. The further south you go, you're going to find less and less clean water sources, so it's important to stock up on water and then chlorine tabs to purify your water as you go south. The 2 wells in this area can be found on either side of the new church. The police station can be found north of that church. Now we're going to follow the road south across the bridge and into Sobotka. North Sobotka has a bunch of civilian buildings, but the main attraction is further south. For reference, we are now facing south and came in on this road. The 2 important parts of Sobotka are the well and the general store. We're going to follow the western road past the farms towards the big hill that you can see in the distance, which is where our next stop, the Kopa prison, is located. Now I'm pausing here to show you these bunkers. These are some cool little structures that do spawn some military loot, and they're definitely worth checking out. There are 5 of these surrounding the prison hill. You've got 2 of them out in the open field here, 2 over here on the left that we're going to fly by, and then a 5th on the north side of the hill. We're not going to pass that one, but I wanted to make sure you knew about it. Here's one of those bunkers and the 2 sandbag structures, which I found do spawn some loot near and on the tables. Next, we're going to hang a slight right to hit that next bunker. And then we're going to aim left to get back to the road leading up to the prison. The Kopa prison is a great little spot to find some decent loot. It has military loot in the L-shaped barracks and the guard shack. However, you might get lucky and find some in the random shed surrounding it. There's also a bunch of green watchtowers surrounding the building. However, they don't seem to spawn much, if any, loot in the 1.06 patch. You can find police loot in both halves of the prison, which is a really fun place to get into a firefight. There are a ton of zombies in this area, and when the firefight happens, you might get trapped inside by them, as they did to me in this video in the top right-hand corner. The last thing to note here is the well. We're gonna quickly fly into the prison and show you the well, and then we're gonna make our way southeast towards Nidek. Just exit the prison and bear slightly left. You should be able to see a town out in the distance. Just head towards that and cut across the field. We're going to start looting Nidek by looking right and looting all of these ruined buildings over here. These are new buildings that are only in Livonia, and they do spawn a lot of decent military loot, so they're definitely worth checking out. I personally love these buildings, as they really give you a war-torn, post-apocalyptic feel. I found everything from SKSs to AKs in these buildings. However, that isn't everything that Nidek has to offer. It also has a proper military base. For reference, we're currently facing southeast, with the Kopa prison back in this direction. We're going to continue on our way to the Nidek military outpost. The Nidek military outpost has 4 barracks, a single guard shack, and a couple of random shipping containers. As I mentioned earlier though, items spawn in other buildings in the vicinity of other types of buildings. So you might get lucky and find military loot in a shed that's adjacent to a military building. Now we're going to exit the military outpost and head towards the main road, where we're going to make a right in order to head southeast towards my favorite location on the new map, Radunin. This is where those yellow medical quarantine tents are, which has drawn a lot of players' attention and made it a bit of a PvP hotspot. Notice a small grouping of trees to our left. There's a small lake on the edge of this grouping, which is going to be our only water source for quite a while. So hopefully you've either found some chlorine tablets by now, or decided to stop and boil some water in a cooking pot. Radunin can be broken up into 3 sections: the ruins area, the medical quarantine zone, and the 2 military areas. Just follow the main road until you pass a couple of cars, and then make a left on the dirt road. You're now in the quarantine area. This spot is insanely cool, but it's also incredibly dangerous to loot because it's placed in a bit of a valley. It's really easy to snipe into. It's definitely worth it though, because it seriously feels like a camp where civilians would have gone for medical treatment for the infection. However, the pile of bodies everywhere kind of indicate that the people who are running the place didn't do the best of jobs. For lootable structures, you have 2 military tents on either side of the compound, and a camo net structure up the hill. You also have a bunch of these new yellow tents where you can find medical loot like codeine, tetracycline, saline, and morphine. Now we're going to head up to the first part of the military locations here. Radunin's first military compound has a guard shack, a headquarters building, a camo jail building, and an Arma 3 barracks building. Next up, let's keep going up the hill to the second military compound. This one has 3 barracks buildings, a guard shack, a watchtower, and a couple of shipping containers. Now we're going to continue south down the main road that we followed to get here in order to go to one more ruined town called Roztoka. I wonder if there's a chance in hell if I'm pronouncing any of these names right. Probably not. There's really not that much to say about this town. It's got a bunch more of those ruins that we've already talked about. This is how they wanted the southern portion of the map to be. It's filled with tons of military loot, but it's a lot tougher from a survival standpoint. You've got to disinfect your water, you're likely going to have to hunt for your food. Oh, and you're going to have to watch out for bears, which are probably hunting you back. I'll quickly point out the lake south of the town. It's your only nearby water source. Otherwise, let's continue down the main road towards our next destination. Make a right at the first intersection. Follow that road around the curve. And then continue straight along the dirt road. You're going to follow this until you get to a single solitary house. You can see the house here on the left. However, you're only using this as a landmark to know when to get off the dirt road. Continue straight and cut across the field towards this military compound. You're going to want to aim for the orange brick house you can see in the distance. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nadbor. Right now we're in the northeastern portion of Nadbor in a small military compound, but don't worry, I'll show you the rest. This section has a couple of military warehouses and a headquarters building. Just follow the main road into the main part of Nadbor. Oh, and there's a guard shack to my right. I'm not gonna lie guys, it's late and I'm tired. I'm not gonna add a pin drop for that one. Nadbor is located in the south-central part of the map, and as you can see, it's a huge town with a lot to offer. Here we have a summer cabin and a general store, both of which are likely to have hunting and PU scopes. It also has a fire station, a well, which is right next to this church, a blue medical building, and finally a police station. Next, we're going to head up the hill into the final military base for this loot route guide. Take note of the church to my left. It has a tower that you can climb up and snipe from. Pretty neat. Here we have our final stop, the second Nadbor military compound. Here we're going to have a guard shack. Look, I remember to mark this one. 2 Arma 3 barracks, a headquarters building, and 3 military warehouses. Alright, let's quickly review where we've been so that you have reference points on the map. We started off in the north central town called Brena, traveled south along the road into Sobotka, cut across the field and up the hill into Kopa prison, cut across another field and down the hill into Nidek, followed that road south into Radunin, continued south into Roztoka, and then followed the western dirt road and cut across another field into Nadbor. Well, that does it for the first installment in the Livonia Loot Route Guide series. I definitely plan to make more of these as they're really helping me learn the map. I hope you guys learned as much as me, and if you did, please subscribe and check out my other videos. Later, everybody.